All right, well, here we are. I'm David Penn with Finovate, and we've got ITSCREDIT on the line. We're sitting here talking a little bit during our Finovate halftime review about what the company has been up to in the past and what we can expect from them over the balance of 2020. First of all, good to see you. How are you doing today?
Hi, Dave. Nice to see you as well. Doing well. Thank you. It's a good day today, so happy to talk to you.
Excellent, excellent. Good to catch up with you on a Friday. Maybe if we could go ahead and start, I know that you have a pretty good background with Finovate, but there might be some folks who are not as familiar with you and your company. Maybe if you could just start sort of introducing yourself and tell us just a little bit about ITSCREDIT.
Thank you. So my name, I'm João Pinto. I am Portuguese-based. As a background, I've lived and studied in the UK and worked there for 6 years, past century, so in the 90s. And then, obviously start working in IT companies, different IT companies. As a background, that will lead as well to the creation of ITSCREDIT is a group, let's say, of people work together. We created a company focused on services, the IT services in 2005 called IT Sector. Mm-hmm. And we start more or less that company from scratch, and it was growing, and then at the stage we start doing, we were working mainly on the financial sector, having lots of people with specific knowledge. And at stage we decided to create kind of a product line, not only services. Mm-hmm. And in terms of ITSCREDIT, so we started first within IT sector creating a framework for credit, for lending. And basically, we were, let's say, implementing for several projects for different clients as a platform, not as a product. So we had a wide knowledge, let's say, of all this lending industry, about the solutions that we decided in 2018 to create as a spin-off ITSCREDIT. So what we did, we pick up products that we were developing as a platform probably since 2008. Mm-hmm. We transfer that to ITSCREDIT along with a team of around 20 people for the first year. And the idea of ITSCREDIT then is to focus only on lending. We have a software lending platform with 4 main modules. They work together or separate. I think we're going to talk a bit more about his intention about that. And one of the main reasons for that is that we believe there's a huge gap in terms of the lending markets. And the reason why is obviously lending is part of the core of the financial industry. So, it's always been there. It's part of the way the banks and financial institutions operate. But the majority of them have got processes that have a huge legacy. So, yeah, processes that were built decades ago, processes that use different technology, that they started obviously with a way of thinking that comes from that area. And when they try to adjust to this new modern process, or when they try to change and create a new lending product, they suffer. And that's what we see as well. There's a huge market for that, and that's where we place in terms of that.
Yeah, interesting. One of the things I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was that earlier this year, ITSCREDIT demoed at Finovate Europe in Berlin, our first show in Berlin, and you demoed the Genie Advisor App. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that solution in particular and how it was received at the conference.
Yeah, it was, first of all, was, I used to attend Finovate probably since its origins, I don't know. In Europe, usually tradition was London. This first year was in Berlin. I think it was a huge success. It was a great pleasure to be there, and, the sessions and everyone else and the network. So it was quite a good event. And what we demoed there, we named it Genie Advisor. So it's part of our R&D department, and what we're looking at that is a different way of addressing the customer. So when we think about the lending in terms of ITSCREDIT, we always think, okay, the customer is centered, is the focus of our offerings of what we do. Mm-hmm. And in this case, we thought about it, okay, one of the things we see lots of people complain is to manage their goals. And in particular, what we call their short-term goals. So, we know there's solutions for, long-term goals, how to say if your children go to college, how to do retirement plans. All these things already exist in the market with sophisticated tools. But let's say the majority of people, when they go to a part of the year and they say many times, in our case, it's probably in December when you start thinking, okay, what's going to be next year, what we're going to build. And people say, okay, what are my goals for next year? And we started, listening to people about that, listening to customers about that, and we thought, that would be great to have a tool that will help people to fulfill those goals. So we created Genie Advisor, and the way it works by analyzing what are the finances of the person. So we're talking about this implementation majority for financial institutions, and is to provide this information to their clients because they've got a huge history of their spendings, of their financial habits. And in terms of that, they know exactly, or they can predict what is your financial availability, what are your fixed costs, which costs, are manageable. And with that, it's try to help them out to fulfill those goals. So we presented at Finovate. The idea was a person that wanted to buy a new car, so they knew, the car was probably, needed to buy. And as well, as the usual thing, okay, I want to go on holidays in July, so, help me to get some budget for that. And the way the Genie Advisor works is looks at the financials position of that person, and in this case, suggested straight away a value for the car on the holidays, because we knew, let's say, the financial stress, and we can say, you can have in a car up to this amount, and then holidays up to this amount. And then the person just have to fine-tune that, saying, okay, no, okay, I want to buy a car in April of this value. And straight away, the way the Genie works is looking at this financial and say, okay, if you want to buy a car in May, so you can start saving first. So it goes at the down payment, and then you should ask for interest, which is this amount straight away. And the person will look at that and say, okay, I'm fine with that. Then we just go to the part where, let's say, it's credit and it's core business, which is all the lending cycle, which is basically, okay, we know the financial, we know the person, we know which documents are missing. We, straight away, we get an application, we get the decision, and, normally we can get straight away the contract and the contract signing. So which means that digitally, a person just setting up these goals straight away knows they can have this specific money to buy a car on a specific day. And the same will apply to the holidays. Straight away, we know they go that way. We know exactly if that person to go on holiday can use their savings, or if they need some kind of lending to complement that. And that's the main goal of Genie Advisor. We've been having very good contacts in terms of that, because we start seeing that, the way we approach our customers is a bit different, let's say, the traditional lending. It's not, okay, tell us what you want, tell us how much you want, tell us when you want, tell us how much you want to afford, and we'll say yes or no. No, the idea is different. Is try to understand the person, try to understand, what they like, try to understand what are their needs financially, and straight away come with a plan for that. So we see financial institutions with this getting, in line with this concept. So getting in line in, okay, let me not just go the traditional lending, this is how much I want, go on the sliders, but no, it's knowing the person, hey, we know you're looking for, buying a car. We are from your, we have on our records that your car is, 10 years old. Why not, use this to buy a new car? And this is what you could do straight away. So without the person asked, they've got a financial plan that the financial institution knows it's affordable, that they know that people can play. And from that, people just have to tweak from that. Another interesting concept that we applied is in terms of mortgage, which is, many times the traditional lenders say, okay, tell us the property that you know, where it is, what's the valuation of the house, how much you earn, and then we say whether we lend you the money or not. But the majority of people, they don't want to do that. They got in their minds, okay, I would like to change. Where to? I don't know yet. I haven't been on the market. But what I'd like to know is until how much can I afford? I would like to know that the bank is going to back me up to say, okay, you can buy a house up to this amount. Right. And this is where we start. So, knowing that, when the people can say straight away to that person, with the financial data, with the aims, okay, you can straight away have a house, let's say, put this value. That will mean that you can afford it with these monthly payments if the house is then valued by that much. And then the person is happily going to the market knowing that he's already backed up with a financial institution, even though they haven't found, let's say, their house. But when they find it, they don't have to stress again. I found the house and now the seller gives me 1 week to find my mortgage and I don't know if the bank is going to give me. No, they are relax in terms of that. They can go to the market. They already know that. They kind of got that commitment from the bank, and that's quite interesting as well in terms of what we're doing.
Yeah, it's very interesting on a couple of levels. There's been so much talk about the age of the customer and the time of the consumer, and some of the things that you talked about really, I think, help people understand what that really can mean when it's done correctly, both in terms of understanding what you just said in terms of how the customer sees the challenge ahead of them as opposed to how the institution sees it, even if they're trying to do the same thing. And I also really was impressed by the idea of those short intermediate term goals. We all struggle to save and make long range plans, but as you mentioned, there are tools, there are resources, there are books. There's any number of resources for saving for college, saving for the house, retirement. But for those short intermediate ones, the tricky ones, the ones that you're more likely to do the impulse spending, no one's going to impulse buy the college tuition, but some of these things, the car, that vacation, these other things that require maybe even more care, to see that you're playing a role helping out with that kind of work, I think is especially interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you follow as well this line and you think it's value to the offering and to the clients, obviously.
Yeah, you think where people really having the trouble, where they really have the hard times getting around it, and I really do think that they really struck something. Let's talk about some of the other things that's going on these days, sort of the big elephant in the world and the economy with the coronavirus crisis. And I was curious, how has this crisis affected your customers? And what are some of the things that maybe you at ITSCREDIT have done to try to make things easier for them?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So one thing that happened in many geographies was, because people were confined at home, many people, could not work. And one of many concerns that we had in different countries was the financial institutions, with the help of the governments, they kind of postpone payment your installments. So either, by giving some state insurance and by the other thing. So one of the things we have to adjust, this was in majority of times configurable in our solutions, was to provide this solution to their clients straight away. So they knew straight away that, okay, this is my financial thing, but if I apply for this, and then, I don't have to pay the installments, let's say for the next 3 months in terms of that. Mm-hmm. The other products that many of our clients launched was something interesting because some of them, they wanted as well to keep feeding credits to the economy. Was okay, but let me create a different type of loans where I can ask for the money, but I've got a grace period of 3 or 6 months. Mm-hmm. So let's say, we help these institutions to launch these new products quite fast. So it was in the beginning of the March. So they could go straight to the market and say, don't worry about these times. We're here to support you. And if you want to lend money from us, you can still do it, and we offer you, a grace period where you can start paying your installments in some. Normally, the majority of them were up to 6 to 9 months, and then the person will use the slider and to adjust that for feeding this information. So I think those were the main things that we kind of felt in terms of lending and the COVID situation.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this, and we talked a little bit about this before we jumped on the line about the impact of this on your customers. How has the impact been on your company and how you all work together? You joked your code there with social distancing. How has it been for ITSCREDIT?
Yeah, it's again an interesting question. I presume in a way, the people who works on the IT the way we do, we were very lucky in terms of that, and because we already have all our systems that work on the cloud, so our development systems, we already have, connections to our customers because you choose remotes, even though majority of us are based in Portugal. We have clients in different countries of Europe, in Africa, in North America. So we already used to, let's say, connecting to their systems and help them deploy our solutions. And people could already work from home if they wanted. So all our infrastructure was prepared to remote work. So even prior, let's say, to these things, we just offer the people to say, okay, if you're concerned about the situation, you can start working from home. So when let's say the shutdown came, everyone was already working from home. So they were already planned for that. I can tell some interesting stories. So, we allowed people to take some parts of the things they had here in the office, like monitor screens, like special chairs that we use in the office. So we, said, okay, we know that probably in your home, you're not prepared to work 8 hours a day in your desk and, with those conditions. So feel free to take, from the office, whatever things is going to make you more comfortable. And so far is going well in terms of that. Now we're finding the other way around, which is people wanting to come back to work and getting all the separation conditions where you can sit. People have to, let's say, book a place because, you know, yeah, the thing here is not to join everyone close together with their own desks that it was before, but it's to give them more space. So what we have is a way that people can, you know, come to work, they can book their place and they can come to work. So we allow, let's say, people to have this freedom of deciding to stay home or coming to work. So it's working well. It's working well. So people are happy, and we find that people as well want to get out of home. They want to have the opportunity to come back to the office. Some of them, they don't want to do it full time, just want to do a few days a week. And yeah, it's working well. I presume, as I said in the beginning, we are, let's say, lucky that we can do this type of work remotely and without much impact in terms of that.
Yeah, fantastic. Great to hear. Well, it's been really great talking to you and getting to learn a little bit more about what ITSCREDIT is up to. Maybe by way of wrapping up, could you tell us a little bit about what you're up to now, maybe what we can expect from ITSCREDIT in the second half of 2020, perhaps?
Yeah, so we are keeping, you know, we have what we call a lending platform, a software platform that's got 4 main modules, which are calculators, loan origination, that we name Flow Credit, risk analysis, and collections. So we're launching a new module in terms of individual scoring. So it's something that we are launching quite soon. And as well, we are going to launch something specific in terms of portal for brokers and what we call something as DPOS, digital POS, which is the ability of making payments using a credit. So the idea is that, you know, in specific stores or specific buys, imagine, you know, you're going to travel, which probably not a good example at the time, but yeah, let's keep that example. But if you're going to have travel somewhere and you didn't want to use your credit card, one, because it's more expensive, B, because you don't want to use all the money straight away to buy the journey, and then when you travel, you don't have, let's say, enough. So the idea is straight away when you're buying the journey, you can say, okay, let me apply for this instant loan. So you just say how many installments you do. It goes back on the bank background. You sign the contract and you pay. Let's say you're traveling with a loan. So yeah, so I think those will, let's say, the 3 main areas that we are disrupting, and we keep as well pushing the Genie Advisor into the market and understanding how it adapts to different realities and how we can make it better.
Excellent. Good to hear. And again, great to talk to you again. Always fun to find out what's going on with ITSCREDIT in terms of some of the things happening in the lending tech and lending tech space. Great to have you as part of our Finovate Halftime Review. As you mentioned, it's IT sector and ITSCREDIT is long friends of Finovate. People have enjoyed seeing what you've had to bring to the stage for years now. So it's great to see you here on our digital version of our stage. So great to talk to you again, and good luck in the second half of the year.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure as well to see you online. Hopefully we'll meet in person when travel is resumed and the Finovate events are available. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Sounds great. You too. Take care. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.